All right, so what do you think is the hardest thing about being a voyageur?
I think like paddling on the river for like 18 hours a day, so and moving a lot, so and living off the land.
All the paddling, traversing that they did on the river systems had to be hard.
Apparently for me it would be height. The taller you are, the more you had to carry. I don't think I could do that.
All right, if there's one thing that we know from that is that portaging is hard. Is that it? Like if we take the portaging out of like the Voyageur lifestyle, like we can all handle it, or?
No.
No?
No, that's it. That was the only answer. That was it. That's it. Done.
No, I couldn't do it.
What? Really?
Yeah, me neither.
Oh, if I could.
What?
Are you kidding me?
Tough guy.
A bunch of tough, like bearded, burly men taking care of me. A bunch of women working together and supporting each other.
See, I thought you were a voyageur.
Well, no, women were voyageurs. They were often guides and they did some fishing and they weren't necessarily carrying boats and stuff like that. But I'd totally be that one, being like, look over. If you look to the right, you will see. Snow.
Disneyland or not?
It might have been. You don't know. You weren't there. You weren't there.
I don't think you could do it. Sorry, I've seen you on coffee in the morning, so I can imagine it being rough.
She could do it. We saw her kick butt at the football clinic thing.
Oh.
Yes. She was the only one that could move the sled.
You did pretty good too.
Well, yeah, I stood on the sled and you pushed me.
All right. Okay, so let's get way off topic. I don't think the one thing that I learned when I was there is like they get up at 2 and 3 a.m. in the morning, and that's brutal. I did that for a little while in my life, and I don't want to do it. And it's not like they get up, like when I got up at 2 in the morning, it was like I get coffee, I slowly get dressed, I go to work. These guys get up and they go on the river. Like it's not warm. And then they paddle for like, I was up at 2. You know what? Let's paddle for 13 and a half hours. I feel like that'll be awesome. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, but if you give up your Converse shoes and put some moccasins on and actually dress for the weather.
Well, the thing is, I mean, of course you'd be, you get better once you started, but I don't think I would be able to. It's hard. It's like if we went back in time tomorrow, I would sleep in. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
In addition to Blair's point about them getting up at 2 and 3 in the morning, shocking, they don't eat breakfast until like 8 or 9. So, but like,
it's not for your metabolism before you.
Oh, you say, well, sure, like
they
you were like
portage
Captain
for
Voyageur.
about 6 hours before eating breakfast.
Aww.
I missed breakfast this morning and I can barely get through this.
You're like, it's good that this is almost over.
I'm like,
because
there's oatmeal out there waiting for me. That'd be the big thing, and no dessert.
no dessert. There's your vast historical knowledge.
syrup is dessert.
It's just not like a piece of cake.
What I was thinking about was more the summer months of the Voyageur, and of course before mosquito repellent had ever been invented.
Wow.
That would have been a tough one for me, I think.
Depends on your blood type.
They actually
It
used
really
a type
bother
of
me.
oil and they smeared it on their, I think it was like moose oil they would use as a repellent.
Well, you make it sound so glamorous.
Doesn't it?
Or you just cover your entire body with mud. Just
Yeah.
I just don't want to be there when they get the oil from the moose. That's
Fair
just
enough.
that part I don't want to do. That's I'm standing back.
Well, and speaking of that, you'd be wearing the same clothes for.
Oh, Tracy. That would be Tracy's nightmare.
Nightmare.
Plus, you know what? Voyageurs has outfits that went past their knees, so
I
you'd be
know,
screwed, right? Like,
But you could have been.
Accentuate the waist, though.
You could have been an entrepreneur. You could have really brought fashion.
I like the furs though.
yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah.
But the fur was good to keep warm, and that's what they use. But
they did, and they traded it as well. That was kind of important.
yeah,
The fur trade.
in the fashion mode. No bright colors, I guess.
Except for that red sash in many different colors.
Yes.
Other than that, it was dark.
Sort of
Kind of like
tones.
nature, you know?
right?
So dull and
boring.
boring.
I mean, I will say the good thing about being a voyageur is exactly that. You're out in nature and you're there in, just untouched wilderness sometimes, and that would be incredible. And I would say that probably, as I contradict myself, I would say that probably made it a lot easier to get up at 2 in the morning, because that's when the world is still kind of quiet and we feel like we don't really belong there. It's just like nature, and then you're, hey, it's me. But I think that's the good part about it. And you're also carrying a lot of stuff. Like you said, there's like 90-pound packs. I mean, you'd be in great shape. What it should be is like a celebrity workout. There should be a Festival de Voyageur workout program.
Why not?
And people would do it, because any workout program people do. So
all I can think about is like Dance with Wolves, you know, just being adopted into this culture, and then Kevin Costner like comes and
then Kevin Costner comes.
I think you fit in, especially with music. You know, seeing around the fire, telling stories. I could see you doing that for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, and like to be perfectly honest, I mean, I really do value that community setting when people are living together in that way. And we've become so isolated as a people, and we have these giant homes where like 2 or 3 people live in them, and my home is my home, your home is your home. You know, we've sectioned ourselves off in society, and this is, I mean, perhaps this is a bit of a. I always use this example, and so some people get weird about it, but breastfeeding is like one of the things that I always think about, because if you, when you've had the opportunity, I'm like, okay, who's breastfed here? It's really,
it's early.
you still got time. Yeah. You never know. But where I'm going, I know you guys are like, where is she going with this? Like breastfeeding now? Really? No, but just stay with me. I have a point, which is that when you try to breastfeed for the first time, it's really, really difficult because you've never really seen it happen. And there's so many, like, I don't know if your wife or her friends have this experience as well, where there's so many classes you can go to try to learn how to do it. That's horrifying to me that we have to learn how to do something that's so natural. But because we're growing up, we're not really around other women. We're not like back in biblical times or like any sort of tribal communities, like girls just grow up seeing that happen, and it's not something you have to learn. It's just like, that's how you do it. Oh yeah, here we go, now I'm doing it too. And so anyways, it's just an example of how like we don't learn from each other the same way that we used to. We don't help each other the same way that we used to. And so I think that there's always that romanticism. I know it's hard work, but it's not you doing it by yourself.
Yeah, I never thought of that, actually, the whole family aspect, because you're right, like, I hardly ever see my uncles where in that time they could be on the next canoe, right? And then when you're staying overnight, when you're camping out, which is not what they did, but when you're traveling, right, it's like your whole family is with you all the time, and you're learning lessons from, you know, we learn lessons from our parents, and hopefully we turn out normal. But when you're taking in philosophies and practices of like 20 family members, it definitely will make you a more rounded person, and probably a better person, and probably a better voyageur, because you're learning how to do the things better than, you know, maybe your dad is not good at portaging, but your uncle is killer. So there you go, right?
He's really good at fashion, so
right?
Yeah. He helps them there.
Finally.
I know.
All my dreams.
And just furthering what you were talking about there about community and everything, the one documentary I always turn people to is babies. And if you can watch that, because there you see a child being raised, I believe in sub-Saharan Africa, right? Yeah. Where else was it? Mongolia?
I think Japan was one of them.
Yeah, Japan, Mongolia, and San Francisco. Yeah. And comparing the whole experience. And maybe not one way was better than the other, but it all worked.
Yeah, in the end.
So you'd all make it. You'd all work it out.
Cake's pretty important to me. So.
Well, I mean, you can't have your cake and you can't eat it either.
We'll figure something out with flour and eggs.
Okay, thank
What if you can't swim?
All right, guys. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. We'll see you back here in 2 more weeks' time.